Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new devotion. I am so sorry that I missed yesterday, but I think going forward, just for time and everything, I think I want to start uploading on Wednesdays and Fridays. I think that's going to be better for me because I never know what the weekend's going to hold. And so sometimes it's hard for me to get a video recorded and uploaded for Tuesday. So we'll just do Wednesday, Friday. I'm just doing my best here. I mean, it has just been crazy the last few days, the last week or so here. So going forward, we will do Wednesday, Fridays. Hopefully that works out better. I don't see me being able to do the Tuesday, Thursday consistently. So definitely Wednesday, Fridays look a little bit better for me. So Wednesday, Fridays, we'll start uploading the devotionals. And without further ado, we're going to be reading from our devotional Turning Points with God by David Jeremiah. Today's title is Joyful Obedience. It's found on page 160. Our scripture comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2 and verse 26. And I'll be reading that from my King James Bible. And it says, "For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he giveth travail." And travail in this text means work. "Together to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit." It has been said that God prefers reluctant obedience rather than joyful disobedience. But this statement is misleading. When we first learn to obey God, we sometimes do so reluctantly because we leave the familiar territory of doing what we please to embark on the uncharted waters of yielding our will to His. But once we understand that obedience to the Lord produces joy in our lives, we also begin to realize that there is no such thing as joyful disobedience. For in fact, ignoring God's directives is a joy stealer. Alan Redpath states it this way: "When there's disobedience in the Christian's life, the fullness ceases, and you soon know when you've lost the fullness because the joy is gone." If you find that you are resisting obedience to God in some area of your life, ask yourself, is it worth it? Because no matter how vigorously you may try to justify disobedience in your life, you can never replace the joy that is lost when you say no to God. Dear Christian, run to do His will and lay hold of the resulting joy that God has provided for those who obey Him. There is nothing to lose and everything to gain, for a joyful heart stems from an obedient heart. Obedient submission is the only way to joy. That is a quote by Charles Stanley. Oh my goodness, is that not true? I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I'm sure we all have if we're honest. But I've never heard of it referred to as God prefers reluctant obedience rather than joyful disobedience. I don't see how that could be true at all. I think the Lord understands that there is going to be some reluctance in our obedience because we're human. And it's like it says, we sometimes do so reluctantly because we leave the familiar territory of doing as we please to embark on the uncharted waters of yielding our will to His. And that is the biggest issue, I think, is us learning to yield our will to His will. And in my personal experience, that is just something that is learned, and the more you do it, as with anything, the more you practice it, the easier it comes. And the easier it becomes to be more obedient to the Lord's will, to step out on the water, trusting that you're going to be able to walk on the water to Him, trusting that and knowing that He's not going to put you in a position, He's not going to ask you to do something where you are going to fail, that he has already put provisions in place for you to succeed. He has already worked everything out for your good. It just stems on us being obedient, regardless to how it feels. And our feelings a lot of times will get us in trouble if we base everything on how we feel. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes how I feel about things depends on what kind of night's sleep I got. If I'm hungry, what mood I'm in will affect how I feel about things. How many times have y'all been like in such a great mood, everything's fine, you're feeling wonderful, and you make all these plans because you feel so good, and then when it comes time to do it, you're not feeling like you was then, and now you're stuck with, you got to do what you said you were going to do. You made plans based on how you felt then, not thinking about how you would feel now, kind of thing. Guilty. So guilty. But in my experience, in the trials that I have been in and through with God, I have learned so much. And I'm not going to sit here and paint this picture that I submit every time to his will. I'm stubborn. I'm hard-headed. He understands that. He made me. But he's also taught me so much through the trials. And I think sometimes I've had to go through some of the trials that I've went through and experienced what I felt so he could teach me, your will is not the right way. My will is better. Follow me. I'm going to help you. And if you would have just followed me to start with, if you would have just done my will to begin with, if you would have just obeyed me at the beginning, you could have saved us both a bunch of time. Basically, that's what I feel. I would like to think that I'm joyfully obedient. Of course, I want to say that I am joyfully obedient, but that would be a lie. Sometimes I'm obedient just because I have to be obedient. And I'm obedient because I don't understand. I'm obedient and can't see why he's having me do what he's having me do. Sometimes I'm obedient and I'm like, I don't know, Lord, but I trust you. I think that's very human. But the key word is being obedient. And I really do my best to be obedient. He tells us to pray without ceasing, to understand that he does all things. He works all things for our good. And I really had to hold on to that, especially at the beginning of the year when James lost his job just out of the blue. I learned so much through that and how to face things. Now, will I face every trial the way I faced that one? I would like to say yes, because that was probably one of the easiest, if you want to call it that, trials that I've been through. And it's not because of what the trial was. I mean, he lost his job. He lost our main source of income. He didn't have another job lined up. He literally got off of the holidays, went into work, and boom, done. And they closed the company down. No warning, no, this might be coming, nothing, just bam. And I took that, and instead of letting the devil use that to bring up all this fear and worry, I immediately went to the Lord and I said, I don't understand, but I know you're in control and I trust you. And anytime the devil would try to put that little nagging something in my mind, I would just say, I trust you, Lord. I trust you. I know you're going to take this and you're going to work it for our good. And how I handled that was not something that just happened. That was a learned response. Just like we can learn a learned response to be obedient. And the thing about it is, the more obedient we are to the Lord, the less we're going to have to go through, I feel. That's my personal feeling. The more we obey the Lord and follow his direction and his will, the less we're going to have to go through. And I say, just get into your prayer closet, pour out your heart to him, let him know your desires to want to be joyfully obedient. You don't want to be reluctantly obedient. You want to be joyfully obedient. You want to know that you are doing your best. Just pour your heart out to him. And I promise you, he will meet you there, and he will work with you, and he will help you. He is never going to turn you away. He will be there. He will guide you. He will direct you, and he will help you. And he will give you ways of being able to understand where you're at and how to be joyfully obedient, if that makes sense. That's been my experience in this department. Do I have it perfected? No. No. I said I want to always be joyfully obedient. That does not mean that I am. Sometimes I miss the cues. Sometimes I miss it. But it's never with the intent, you know? And I'm so thankful that's when he knows our heart. So hopefully this has blessed you. It has kind of helped me kind of, you know, getting me on the track where I need to be, reminding me, I guess. It's another gentle reminder. I love his gentle reminders, because he could be a mean and harsh God and just, you know, lower the boom on us. But no, he always sends out these little gentle reminders, these gentle nudges. And the question in here, it says, if you find yourself, you're resisting obedience to God in some area of your life, ask yourself, is it worth it? My answer to that is no, it's never been worth it when I have just, you know, totally went against what God said. It's never been worth it. And in fact, it has been 10 times more painful, I feel like. But that's just me. I pray you have an amazing day. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.